Welcome into the conference championship edition of the college football bets. Got three bets for you this week. I'm ready to make some money. We got just a couple more opportunities left here to make some. So let's get into it. All right. Welcome. It is good to have you in again this week. We have um, one pretty much one final week here. We've got some playoff games, we got some bowl games to get to. Those are a little bit funkier to bet on, but this is the last time we're really for like the straight bets until we get to the playoffs, which are later in December. So for all intents and purposes, this is our last week to make this guaranteed money that we've got coming. The player props have been on fire this entire season. So I can't wait to get into that because we got another one there that is a lock. But speaking of locks, the lock of the week this week is Oregon minus 3.5 over Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. I don't see how Penn State's going to keep this close. They have a knack for making these games, for folding in big games, and I don't think this one's going to be any different. Oregon hasn't really been especially amazing this entire season. They've kind of had some games that have been kind of weird, but they have won others pretty easily. I think this is going to be an Oregon blowout. They're going to prove why Penn State doesn't even belong in this conversation. Penn State has no big wins. They haven't had any big wins for years now, and this is just going to be another opportunity for Penn State to fold in a big game, and I think Oregon's going to cover this number pretty easily. But we're going to go to that game again for the player prop, and tight end Tyler Warren for Penn State is our anytime touchdown scorer at minus 125. Tyler Warren has been on a complete tear this year. He's been throwing touchdowns, catching touchdowns, running touchdowns. There's no way he's not going to see the end zone in this game against Oregon. They're gonna. That really is the only player that they need to keep their hands, or keep their hands off the ball, is Tyler Warren. They got two good running backs, Penn State, but their best wide receiver, best all-around player on the team is Tyler Warren, and I expect him to be seeing the end zone at least one time against Oregon on Saturday night. The last bet I have for today, we're not going to do parlays. We're just going to keep it somewhat simple, and we're going to do something that has already happened once this season. And our long shot bet is going to be Carson Beck over 300 plus passing yards at plus 360 on DraftKings right now. If you're in a state that can bet on player props, this is one that I like. Carson Beck's already done this once, so I can definitely see him doing it again. I think this is going to be a high scoring game, Georgia versus Texas. So the over also kind of looks enticing in this game, but I'm just going to keep it simple. Carson Beck to throw for 300 yards. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think Georgia might win this game. They're currently the underdogs. They've already beaten Texas once, but Texas did look good in the second half of that game against Georgia. So I definitely could see why people might be a little bit more in on Texas this time around. But personally, not worried at all. Georgia's used to these kind of games, and I think Carson Beck's going to get in there and throw a good game. It's plus 360 right now, so go ahead and grab it now. It's like the highest uh, yardage total that Carson Beck can get. I think he's going to get there. So, recap those real quick. It's kind of a shorter version. There's only 9 games being played. A lot of these lines look pretty good to jump in on, but these are just the bets I feel safest about. So, Oregon minus 3.5. That's minus 105 right now. I think this number is going to get worse. I think it's going to be 5 by the time the game starts because Penn State folds in these games. They do it every single year, and this one's going to be no different. Tyler Warren in that game for Penn State is going to score a touchdown. I definitely can see that. I would love to see the odds for 2 touchdowns because I think there's a chance there, but it wasn't available yet on DraftKings. But I definitely think 2 touchdowns, also a good bet, but minus 125 for the anytime, money in the bank. And we've been a lock for these this whole year, so I'm not worried about this one bit. And then the long shot bet is a player prop, so it might not be available in every area, but Carson Beck over 300 plus passing yards at plus 360. I just love that value right there. And Carson Beck is going to be throwing for a lot to keep them in this game. Again, I think this one's going to be a little bit of a shootout. 2 really good defenses, but I think when it comes to this game in particular, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of fireworks on the scoreboard. So I think Carson Beck, 300 plus yards, plus 360 Georgia fans might be like, oh, well, he has not done that whole season. I get it, but I think in this game, he's going to show up and show out. So that's all I got for you this week. Again, 9 games, conference championships, fun week. I can't wait. This is a good one. Then we're going to have the playoffs get set on Sunday, which is even more fun. And then bowl games and playoffs start end of this month. So can't wait to get back into it. I'll probably be gone for a couple of weeks just because there's not really going to be much to bet on college football wise. But until then, please enjoy some football. Pro side still killing it. Go join the YouTube channel if you're listening on the podcast. If you're on the podcast, or if you're on the YouTube channel watching this, follow the podcast too. I'm also on Offensive Points, so if you do want to hear a little bit more of me talking about actual fantasy football, which is what we do a long form podcast on, I will be on there as well, also on this channel. So thank you all for tuning in this entire season. I will be back for the playoffs, but for now, take it easy.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.